We often find organisations have concerns around the security issues of consuming cloud services. So there are many answers to the problem. I think the place I often start is physical security. I find that it'd be next to impossible for most organisations to be able to build data centres at the scale and the capacity and with the security profiles that Microsoft provide out of their data centres. So from that perspective, you're getting your stuff hosted in what would basically be a military grade hosting environment. Security is an interesting subject. Traditionally, organisations have had this concept of building like a wall of steel around their network. I think it's more, and there's been a shift in the industry in recent years to think more of the information being secured, managing the behaviour of your staff more, than worrying too much about where the equipment is that's running the stuff. And we live in an online world today. We've all got Facebook accounts. We all hold our credit cards out and PayPal and all that stuff. The perception of the security requirements is often outstrips what's actually needed. I mean, you've got regulatory requirements for some organisations and for some industries. Then by all means, they have to meet those regulations. But beyond that, I think there's a lot of legacy thinking around security that needs to be challenged. So as part of the Microsoft suite of products, security is addressed in a slightly different way. Now it is entirely possible to secure your information far more than your location. You can have services in place that will look for keywords and documents. You can secure documents with applications like rights management services where your stuff becomes far less of an issue really, because you're securing the data type rather than the storage or the server that the data resides on. And also the reality of the fact is today you've got environments that are perceived to be highly secure, but often, staff could walk off with USB sticks. They take their laptops home. They have access to their personal email on their devices at work. So I think the security thing, once you start to dig into it and drill into the details of what customers actually require, they find that the security profiles provided by Windows Azure are more than adequate for their needs. The control of what staff can and can't do when it comes to removing data off-site is something that's a lot harder to address. So, whether staff move stuff onto USB sticks or whether they access their personal emails or whether they, in some other way, remove corporate IP from the organisation onto stuff that the organisation loses control over is a very real concern. Now, cloud in and of itself doesn't aid or hinder that problem, but the tools that are being provided by many of these software manufacturers now give you a level of control as an organisation where you can manage authentication against some of these services like Dropbox. You can pull your Windows account authentication into Dropbox, so that's managed by the in-house IT department. You've also got things like digital rights management where you're securing the data and the content, not the location. And so a combination of a sensible approach to security using some of these tools means that the cloud as a location becomes far less important to your security concerns. This cloud services thing is relatively new, and there are some very, very big players involved in it who are staking their reputations on the security levels of the services they provide. So Microsoft made it very, very clear at this year's partner conference that they've staked their business and their business reputation on these cloud services going forward. It's very much where they see themselves going. And so it's important to note that they will do everything they can in their power to ensure that security concerns are being addressed, that their environments are as secure as they can reasonably be made to be secure. And of course, it's a very competitive market there with kind of like the big four all playing in a very similar space. None of them can afford to have a scandal when it comes to security.